Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. We are not doing closet conversations in this episode. We're doing a new series. So I think it's going to be called, actually we're just going to call it right now. It's going to be Mommy Mondays. So I'm going to put it out on Mondays. And we will be talking about the magic of motherhood and Mommy Mayhem. So basically, we'll be just teetering between the magic and the mayhem because it definitely is both. I'm not a well-experienced mom. I have a bonus son that I've had since about 10 years now. His name is Marcus, and he lives in Canada. He's only with me for a few weeks out of every year, but we do keep in contact over WhatsApp video and Instagram lately because he's old enough now. But yeah, so I don't have much experience. And then I have a son now. He is Lyric, and he's 1 month and 1 year and 5 months. And he is a joy. No lie. Like, hands down, an absolute joy. I am so glad he came here. I'm so glad he chose me. He was much needed. I didn't even know that I needed him, but I did. And he is equal parts joy and terrorist. And he just is. Now, he'll never be a terrorist to any of you. That's the interesting part. He doesn't shame me on the road. Right? He goes out and he's well behaved, and it's like he knows not to cause the mayhem out there. But on me, let's just say he's so comfortable with me that he doesn't mind. If he's in a pissed off mood, he's gonna make sure I know. So basically, I've been getting a lot of requests on covering the different things of how you deal with motherhood and everything like that. And I think that my perspective is good enough to share because I am 40. So I had my first child late. So I have a really good, I would say, comparison or contrast between life before and life now, because I spent 39 years without him. And then now, it's a total different life. So I figure that we'll start with my journey to how I became a mom, and then we will, cover different topics each week on the different challenges of parenthood, the different joys, the different things that take place, and watching him grow and all of that stuff, the whole satisfaction of that and the relief of certain things as well. Like, so we're just gonna get into it. I'm just gonna share, and we'll chat, like, because I like to chat. So I will share my story of how the motherhood thing. Okay, so I was never one of those people that really needed to be a mom. There are some people that, like, that's all they want, and they really do want, and it's very necessary. And for me, it wasn't. I mean, I think I caught the bug when I was like 28 that I wanted a baby. But then I think I got over it by the time I was 30. So, or maybe even by the time I was 29. I don't know. So I never really, so it wasn't an ongoing thing. It wasn't something that I always thought about. It was very easy to live my life without a child because I love to travel, and I traveled a lot, and I travel solo. I've had some long relationships, but they were all very awkward, I find, in that I'm really independent, and I'm really, I don't know, like, I don't know. Something is wrong with me, though. I think in that, I don't really, like, how people think about marriage too, that they need to be in a marriage. I married very young, and I yeah, I don't know if my thoughts on marriage are the same as everyone else's. Like I like being married now, because my husband is my family, and now we have Lyric and Marcus, who are my family. But if I didn't see it that way, like if I didn't see it as me picking my family and choosing my family, I don't know that I'd need to be married. Like, I don't think it's a necessary thing. I don't, all of those, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm pretty independent. I don't know. Whatever it is. Anyhow, so I didn't need to have kids was the thing. I was raised mostly by an aunt that didn't have kids. I have another aunt that didn't have kids. My other aunt, I have one aunt that has like one daughter, and another aunt that has a daughter and a son. And it never seemed, none of it never ever seemed strange to me. Like the ones without kids versus the ones with kids, like I saw them all the same. I loved the one that took care of me the most, because obviously I was dependent on her for a long time, and she really made me feel loved and made me feel like I belong and made me feel special. So, I would gravitate to her. But then I also had a mother who made me feel like a burden and didn't really want me around, and kind of, she gave me that whole feeling of like her life would have been better if I hadn't come here. So because she gave me that sort of a feeling, I was very cognizant that kids might not be for everyone. And so I didn't really, so it was never really this burning desire to carry on the human race and to have my seed somewhere. And, that just wasn't it for me. Anyhow, fast forward to my second marriage, which is to my Johnny. I married him in 2016, and I was, I guess, 33. I was 30. I was in my 30s. And he, he never said that we needed to have kids, because he already knew that I was very happy with Marcus, and, that would be like that. But I did notice that, because I had been with him 4 years up until we got married, I did notice that he really did miss out on the day-to-day with Marcus. Like, he really wanted his son around him, and, because of circumstances, that wasn't the case. And he really wanted the experience of fatherhood, like, all the time. Like, and I'm not sure that, his family, his ex-wife and his son even understood that or knew that or anything like that. And it was just how his life played out that he didn't get the opportunity. And so I decided, well, since I'm married to him now, it shouldn't be that he doesn't have that option because he married someone who doesn't necessarily want kids. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to give him a gift. I'm going to, give him a child, because he will, I'll love any child. I love them all. Like, just because I don't need one doesn't mean I can't love one. So I was like, okay. But to be honest with you, the only thing I really was worried about was, like, I'm in love with Marcus so much. Like, he might as well have come from my own body. So because I love him so much, I was so worried that, like, when I have a baby, like, am I going to compare him to Marcus? Am I going to, like, wish it was Marcus? Like, what am I going to do? So that was the part that I worried about for myself. But anyway, I said, let's go ahead and have the baby. So we came off of birth control because, it's time to start trying. And for 2 years, it never happened. Like, nothing happened. So, and you hear of people getting pregnant all the time, and you try to prevent pregnancy your whole life, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, it should be fine. And it's not. And then you're like, what the hell? How is it, like, where, and why is it not happening? We're being careless. So I went to the doctor, and he did some tests and, all sorts of things. He tested Johnny. Johnny's fine. He tests me and he says, oh, well, you have two autoimmunes. One is antiphospholipid syndrome and one was antithyroid antibodies. So he was like, maybe you'll get pregnant, but it'll be really hard. And if you get pregnant, you'll probably miscarry anyway. And I don't know. And I was like, okay, well, how do you fix it? And he's just like, it's your body fighting against your body. Like, there is no fixing it. And I was just like, oh, okay. So I went for a second opinion, and that doctor was like, well, do you really need kids? And I was like, not really, but why can't I have any? And he's like, well, you're probably going to miscarry. Like, do you want to go through the stress of that? And I'm just like, what? And he's just like, yeah, like the other doctor was right. Like, it's probably not going to happen. And I was just like, oh, okay. All right. So I went home, told my husband, I've got shit going on. So we're probably not going to have a baby. He was like, okay, fine. Everything's normal. We don't use any sort of protection anymore. And we're just, moseying through married life. And then 2020 comes. Was it 2020? The end of 2020, Bridgerton comes out. And Bridgerton has this hot Duke and Daphne. And they have sex scenes all over the place. And every time they have a sex scene, after that, I'm like, all like, ooh, where's my husband? And so we have our own sex scenes all over the place. And in January of 2021, I'm pregnant. But I didn't know I was pregnant. So I traveled. I'm sweating all the time. I'm wondering if I got COVID. I don't know what's happening to me. And do I have a bladder infection because I'm peeing all the time? And now I have gas. Like, I always had gas, but it's like a burping thing I have. But now it's like flatulence. And I'm like, what is going on here? And I'm getting dizzy and tired and all sorts of things going on. And I'm like, listen to me. I had to rule out every possible thing it could be before I realized that maybe I'm pregnant. And when that happened, my sister-in-law, who was very giddy, she decided that she would bring 3, not 1, but 3 different brand pregnancy tests to my house. I was in quarantine at the time because of COVID. I had just traveled and she was coming to pick up something and she said, do you need anything on the road? And I was like, I can't find my pregnancy tests because I hadn't used them for years anyway. They're probably expired because, of course, we had stopped trying. So anyway, I think I have a video. I do have a video on when I found out that I was pregnant. I was actually pregnant. Yeah, confirmed all 3 tests. Yeah. And of course, so the very first thing that got into my head was, oh crap. Like, because they told me that if I do get pregnant, I would miscarry. So I was like, oh shoot. So I had to get into the doctor right away. The doctor that I was supposed to get into had a COVID scare in the office. So they closed down. And remember, I have a blood condition as well. That's the antiphospholipid syndrome, where it causes you to clot. And pregnant people clot anyway because all this blood stuff going on to get the baby formed and all that. I don't really know. I kind of know, but it's a long story. So anyhow, I know I need to go on blood thinners like right away. And that office closed down. So I go back to the first doctor and I'm like, hey, I got pregnant. And he's like, oh yeah? Because he loves getting people pregnant. And he's like, all right, so you need to come in. And I was like, okay, when? No, come today. I was like, okay. So I went in and they knew to get me on the blood thinners. And I got on blood thinners immediately. And they were really expensive. And yeah, so I was now vindicated or validated based on all the dizziness I was having and everything that was going on. And so I was on the road to, having my baby. So we've gone on long enough for this episode of Mommy Mondays. Next week, I will tell you about the actual pregnancy itself. So this was up to me getting pregnant. And then I'll tell you about the pregnancy next week. Thanks for joining. If you think this is content that someone would like, please share it. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. And you can, as usual, it's always a conversation. So please comment down below what you liked, if you liked it, if you didn't like it, what you want to talk about, any questions you might have, and join the conversation. I want to hear your stories too. Thanks so much, and see you next week for Mommy Mondays.